Senator Britt.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, and I join Ranking Member Fisher and my Republican colleagues in welcoming Senator Butler to the committee. Thank you all for being here and you're taking time to be in front of this important committee on this important topic. Mr. Is it Benna? Is that how I say it? I'm proud I got it right. Excellent. Your testimony discussed ongoing work related to cybersecurity in our elections. Our response to cyber threats remains one of the most important issues that we must address in election administration and the security space. Your testimony mentioned a number of steps that your state has taken in that regard, including the implementation of a multi-factor authentication to prevent unauthorized access to the voter registration system. That installation of computer intrusion detection devices in order to detect any type of malicious activity. I want you to talk a little bit more about that. Can you discuss how the cybersecurity improvement steps that you've taken in Nebraska have or could be replicated in other states, as well as other innovative steps that you think states around the country should consider to better secure their election systems and against cyber threats?
So the steps that Nebraska took aren't anything new. Every state had the opportunity to have an Albert sensor, and I believe all 50 states put in a Albert sensor at some point. What was unique in Nebraska, it was the first time it was ever done on the servers of a private elections vendor versus on a state network. Also, the multi-factor authentication, I think we're seeing in all aspects of our cyber life now, and that was an important aspect that we are also pushing down to our local officials to do that on their normal day-to-day operations on their normal computers, not just in the voter registration system. I think it's very important as election officials to challenge CISA and other federal agencies in charge of our cybersecurity efforts to say, what's next? We don't want to rest on our laurels, but we want to find out what's the next thing that we need to do so we can stay ahead of the threats that are facing us.
And when you made that choice and went with a private vendor, can you talk about what the decision point was there?
Well, many states have a private vendor that handles their statewide voter registration system. And at the time that the Albert sensors were being offered, it was for state networks. And so when we realized that we didn't need an Albert sensor to protect the voter registration system, we worked with our vendor as well as the EISAC to say, can we think outside the box a little bit, figure this out? And this was the first time it had ever been done. And every state that uses our same statewide voter registration system, that vendor has applied that to theirs. So it's an important step to make sure that our election, the most valuable data we have, our voter registration database, is protected.
Absolutely, thank you. Mr. Farley, your testimony also discussed the importance of cybersecurity initiatives as it relates to election and election administration. In your experience, what role does and should information sharing and collaboration between states and localities around the country play in enhancing our response to election-related cyber threats? And what, if any, improvements do you think could be made in that regard?
Well, I think any time that you can share information among states is good. I know in Tennessee, we're in the process now as far as voter registration list. I mean, we're partnering with Alabama, making sure, because there's a lot of people who have moved from Tennessee to Alabama and vice versa. So making sure that are there people that are registered.
Duplicates.
Exactly. And I know that Tennessee, we have 7 states that border our state. So in working with those partnerships with our neighbors is always a good thing.
Yeah, and we appreciate that. Our Secretary of State obviously has made this a priority, and so thank you for working on that with him.
So, but I think anytime you can share information, especially keeping your databases clean and protected as possible is very important.
Absolutely. And what role do you see for the federal government with respect to helping states and localities better prepare for and respond to cyber threats to elections and election administration?
Well, I'm a firm believer that, I know what's best for my community, and I know what's best for, my county. On a global or national level, the cybersecurity is something that we can't, we have no role in. So I think that's very important that the federal government take an active role, especially funding, because we're doing great today, but tomorrow is a different day. So there are always got to be 1, 2, 3 steps ahead because we can't, as Mr. Benton made a comment just a second ago, we can't rest on our laurels. We've always got to be actively ahead of the target.
Thank you. Thank you.